Well, welcome to Dogman's Mountain Workshop, and we last left off, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was removing walls. I took the toilet and the tub out of the repoed building that I had purchased, and I've been continuing work on the building. Now I haven't filmed what I've done, but we're going to go over that here. It's just petty stuff that wouldn't interest anybody, so let's turn you around. And then I'm going to update you on what's going on. So as we can see, the bathroom, all that stuff is gone. This used to be a frame bedroom or whatever, a separate room. That is now gone. I have started the process of removing the sheetrock that was up in that ugly metal. As you can see, it's thrown out the door. I can use that on the chicken coop or something. And then I took out all this old used insulation. They actually had this backing to the back. They had it in backwards, and it's used, and it has rodent droppings in it. So whatever building or whatever it was, they got this nasty stuff out of. Now I can understand pinching pennies and reusing materials, but if it's got mouse droppings in it, no, man, don't. And some of it is moldy. It is just nasty old stuff. So it is going in the trash. I removed all the sheetrock here. Very few screws were holding it up, and there was no tape used. They just used mud. So good thing I took that off. And I still got this wall to go. A lot of that sheetrock's still good. I'll use it for something. I also went through the electrical box and removed all the wiring they had shoved in here, and I'm going to, and this is what Dirksen has wired. So now I'm able to trace everything I got and see if they might have put any screws through it or if there's any cuts. So it's good to inspect that. I'm also going to be running additional lines. I'm going to, because this is going to be a shop, so I'm going to have workbenches. I want outlets up here. So some of these I may move up, but I may just leave them there because I can always plug stuff in under there. I'm going to run a separate breaker with some up. I don't even really know where I'm going to put workbenches yet, but one thing I am going to do is I'll probably have an air compressor in here at some point, and I will just get the, it'll be the 240 volts or whatever. So I will get the proper wire for that and run that a short line right here. So I would say probably an air compressor in this corner, and that way the wiring's already there because I have decided to spray foam this entire building. Now, there's some of you out there saying, oh, you're gonna get mold. Did you do your research? Yes, I did my research. I'm using open cell, which is more forgiving for moisture. Where people get into trouble with the mold is if that stuff's applied to a wet building. If this stuff is really moist and wet, then you're in trouble. But the open cell foam's a little bit more forgiving. Man, we haven't had any moisture here in weeks. Now, we have humidity, so they'll probably do but I think this stuff here, you're not going to have to worry about too much. And, how many more years am I going to live, man? Do I care what happens to this building in 25, 30 years? No. I'm going to be dead and gone, and I don't care. Okay? I don't care who gets it. Well, let them deal with it. I weighed the cost doing spray foam versus, getting the R13 and the foam board, and it isn't very much more. And the best part is I don't have to be out here in the heat putting that crap up, because if you've ever done insulation, it's not fun. I mean, it's bad enough I got to get rid of this, but it is not fun, and I'd just rather pay somebody and have it done now. They could come in here and do it in a few hours. But before I get that done, and they can be here as soon as the end of this week, he's going to get back to me. I've got to make sure that my electrical is everywhere that I need it, which now I can see what's going on. There needs to be a lot more outlets than what there are. There needs to be some up on top, and I'll leave whatever they have on the bottom. Those are fine. I also am going to need to wire another light switch over here and possibly another one there, because I'm going to be running the lights like I have in my other shed, you know, with the adjustable temperatures and all that. What do you call them? You know, the little round puck lights. They're real thin, so I'll be running a bunch of them. So I'm going to have a couple of switches. So I want to make sure all my wiring is in place for that stuff. And I still got to get this insulation out. Looks like they just did the minimal amount of outlets. I mean, if they were going to use this for a tiny home, they would have needed more than this. Looks like it ends here. I'll have to get the rest of this nasty insulation off here. And this has been given away. This should be out of here this week. And we're going to make sure it's wired. That's going to take me just a couple of hours. I've rewired my entire house. I've wired a lot of stuff, so I'll have that done. I went ahead and pulled them old breakers. They had some old nasty breakers in here. I pulled them out. I'll be putting in my own stuff. And I've said a lot of this on the Dogman channel if you watch my other channel, but I want to keep a record of everything in order on this channel of the build. I stopped at the electric company and consulted with them about converting my home electric, which is 100 amp to 200 amp. It's not going to cost me, the only thing it's going to cost me is what it's going to cost me to buy the new meter and the new disconnect panel and my labor and of course running wire to here. But that's probably going to be in the fall. I'm not real worried about electricity right now. I have tons of these things. I've got more on the way. It's all I use in the other building generally. So to get this build done, I have portable power. I'm not worried about it. And possibly we may put up some solar or something down the road. But I have to worry about that this week because of the spray foam. Once the spray foam's in, man, it's going to be much more difficult to run wire. Because they're going to do the ceiling, they're going to do the walls, and that's what we're going to worry about. I'll go to probably very soon and get the wire. And like I said, I can run this stuff blindfold in a couple of hours. Not a problem. I've already probably got enough outlet boxes on hand. I don't have to buy those. But yeah, this will generally be the workbench. You know, I don't want the whole entire thing workbenches, but I'm thinking maybe a sink here, says we already got a water line coming in right here. So that's done. I will double check that and see what's going on. Water is easy. As long as I got an inlet like that one, we're good. I may have to figure something out here because the spray foam may encase that. I'll have to put something over that. But that's what we're doing. So I have to do some thinking. Make sure before that spray foam gets put in that it's just the best way to go. It is. It really is. It's going to be quick. It's going to be very efficient in here. And it's, man, especially if I decide to make this a podcast studio, it's going to keep that dust down. Also, open cell foam is awesome sound deadening. So that's going to make this room really quiet. The only thing that is bad for this room to make a podcast studio is that window, which I could move. I could move that window if I want to. I can probably move it over to this side somewhere or whatever, maybe move it right there. So that's what we're doing. As you can see, when they wired it, they just put in these like old-fashioned lights. I don't even think, yeah, that is wired. So that's the only light that they have. But there is a line for the light, and I'll run another line as well. So I'm going to get this wired. This is the best way to wire when there's nothing done yet. Man, you can just drill through these things and zip right through it, no problem. So that's where we're at, and I did get this flooring up. I had all this clean and swept, and then I started pulling this down, and I'm glad I did because it was no good. I had to anyway to get the spray foam. So I got to take this. They'll dump the dumpster tomorrow, and I'm going to load my truck up, and that's where that stuff. I mean, I wouldn't even give that away. And you know, it's a poor community. There are a lot of poor people around here, people that just can't afford to go out and buy materials. It was just 2 years ago, I was poor as a man could be, and I still wouldn't have used insulation, but I would have went without meals or something, or I would have never went without alcohol because I used to drink. But I would just buy a little bit at a time, you know, whatever, $40, $50 at a time until I could get the project done. And I understand that, but that's pushing the line using stuff like that. You know, if it comes out of a building that's clean, that didn't have rodents, that's one thing. But yeah, and it wasn't even in right either. It was in backwards. So I know that younger people, a lot of them don't have experience. You know, unfortunately in today's world, we don't have a lot of fathers in the homes that know these things, that can teach younger people. And they might have been older, who knows? I'm assuming they were younger. But I just don't know, I'll never know. Anyway, that's it. I gotta get this picked up. We just had like some 35-mile-an-hour winds come through a little bit ago. That thing would be airborne if it was already out here, but it wasn't. And let's go around to I just made some little makeshift steps here. So this is my plumbing mess that I got to disassemble. I'll run my own. When you run your own lines and you run your own electric, you know what you got. Even when the walls are covered, you know where stuff is, you know what you got. There's no questioning where something is or how it was done. I pushed all this stuff out of here. I just don't know, guys. I don't know what this was. Their ground wire was like 3 of these together, twisted together on the lug of the ground. Yeah, that's not, no. And then we got this going on here. I don't know what happened here, but apparently a dog or something chewed on that. Not very, yeah, the thought of I seen the drywall and I seen the plumbing, and I hate to see I don't know what any of this was. I have no clue what this was. This, I believe, was their service line, which it shouldn't be. But it's all tangled up in there and I got to get it out. So, and there's Miss Dolly, the shop cat. She's coming over to do an inspection. Yes, you are, ain't you? Well, okay. Well, I'm just telling these people about stuff. Okay, yeah, feral cats, they showed up here. She's not feral anymore. Showed up here a couple months ago. So now I have more cats than I do dogs. So this is going to be a fun project, folks. And I did buy, let me go add one more thing. I've already went over this on my other channel, but as I said, I want to document this on this channel. I did go buy a bunch of hurricane ties. I got to go get the proper screws. I want to make sure those are on before the spray foam, because they're going to spray up in there and it's going to make it harder. And I also bought new door handle and a deadbolt for both doors, because it was a repo, didn't come with keys. Neither one of them functioned properly anyway. So looks like that was drilled out. Something went on. I don't know. It's not in there right. You can't, if you shut this door, you cannot get in from the outside, because this does nothing. Nothing. And then that one doesn't latch. So I got to put a brick in front of it. All right, the next video on this channel could be as soon as tomorrow, possibly doing wiring, and I'm going to document the whole process until I say the building is done, which will probably be in the year 2039. Because, you know, my cabin, I got it in 2014, and, well, it's not done either. Thanks for watching. Happy trails, and I will keep you updated.